Hey, we're out at our yards today. We're doing some spot checks. We're just wanting to go through our colonies, get a good idea of what they're still looking like. It's getting closer to the time where we're going to actually close them up and leave them alone for the winter. We'll still come back through. We'll do oxalic acid vapor in December. We'll do several rounds of that when there's less brood in the colonies. We never actually go totally broodless, but we have found that the oxalic acid vapor, it does help. So we believe in using it during the winter. We're going to be going through these colonies out here today. We're going to throw some supplement on them, give them another round of feed, and just look at the overall general health of the box. We want to make sure that they have every chance they have going into the winter. So we want to look at them. I can't stress enough, to know what your bees are doing, you have to be in them. You can't just put them out there in a box and leave them. So we're going to go through all these colonies today, get a good idea, make sure they still look healthy. We're not digging down into the brood nest by any means. We know what we've got the queens are laying, and unless we see something that's out of the normal, we're going to leave them alone. But we're going to check on them, see what they look like, see how many frames of bees we got, just to make sure nothing's changed since last time we were out here. So we're bringing you along, going to show you how we do it. Hope you enjoy the video. Our bees are continuing to work the goldenrod. It's great to see them bringing in all this pollen from the goldenrod and the asters. It gives them a real good chance to store it up for the winter before it gets real cold and turn it into bee bread. And it also gives the bees a good protein source for the spring. We do supplement it a lot so they don't have to go through their reserves. And we don't get a lot of nectar off these generally, depending on the year, but that's okay. We can put some sugar syrup to them and get the boxes heavy for the winter, but this pollen, it can't be replaced. So it's real nice to see the bees out here working it really hard and bringing in a lot of pollen. Like I mentioned, we're out here doing mostly spot checks and cleaning up this yard. This colony is doing really good. It was started earlier as a small tiny nuke, and as you can see, they've consumed all their pollen supplement patty we put on there. They've eaten all the syrup, so we're going to give them some more syrup and another patty on there just to supplement. We've got some heavy rains and maybe some storms coming in all week this week, so we want to make sure they got plenty of protein so they have something to chew on and eat. That way they don't have to go into the reserves and feel like they don't have. If you can see, they've ate most of their pollen supplement, so we're going to throw some more pollen supplement in this colony, top it off with some sugar syrup. This colony, we thought it was weaker. We went through and done an inspection. They're actually doing really great. So this colony is ready for winter. Still doing our spot checks and feeding. See, they've ate most of their pollen supplement there. Good, strong, healthy colony, ready for winter. We're going to do the same. We're going to get some more supplement, more sugar syrup, try to get them heavy before it's too late in the year, and move on to the next one, see how they're doing. We've already went through and fed and added supplement to these colonies, done our spot checks. They're looking pretty good, full of bees. They'll be chewing on that patty pretty soon. All the patties were almost completely gone or gone in all these colonies, so it's real nice. It's getting cloudy now. The bees are starting to get pretty irritable. So we're going to close these up, move on to the next yard and do our spot check at that one. Still got a few more yards to check today, but they're doing really well. We think they'll overwinter pretty good for us, and it's getting hot too. I mean, we're sweating, it's humid out here, so we're gonna get out of these bee suits and go to the next yard. I'm not sure if you can see behind me, but we've also got to do some weed management in front of these colonies. that's also very important. We're falling behind on that. We've been super busy this year. We've kind of let it go and get out of hand a little bit. So you don't want to have a lot of weeds growing up in front of your colonies, because during the summer, the heat of the summer, that extra ground cover helps hold excess heat into the box. It also gives pests the means to climb up into the entrance of the colony. So it's really important to keep those entrances cleaned out and all the weeds you can away from around your colony. So we're also going to be doing that today. So make sure you get that knocked down for the winter time. You know, it just helps keeps pests from coming into your boxes, and especially during the summer, it can overheat a colony if it gets too high around it. And you also want to be careful cutting grass. You don't want to blow grass clippings into the entrance of your colony and clog it up. You can kill a colony real easy like that. Corbin's out here, he's trimming in front of these colonies. Just smoke the entrance real good. And a lot of times we find it's easier to just use some hand clippers versus a weed eater or a lawnmower and get up close to them. We'll bring the bush hog back through and do the field later on, but this at least gives them a good flight path and keeps the pests down to a minimum. We've tried using weed eaters and it works, but it really pisses the bees off. So we try not to use that as much as we do the hand clippers, and sometimes we'll use a hand sling and get in front of them. But lawnmowers and weed eaters, it's real hot, and that's a little less demanding. You can take your time and get up real close to the boxes without too much disturbance. Yeah, leave all the goldenrod. These are some of the colonies from dead outs this year. I believe it was 5 out of 50. They were our fault. We made them too small and didn't give them enough bees when we made the splits, and we paid the price. So keep in mind, you can make small splits if you do it early. We did these in August, and the pests were just too bad, and it was real hot, nothing coming in for forage, and we did feed them, we kept them fed, but it just wasn't enough. Not sure if you can see all the wax moth damage. We'll come through these boxes, we'll clean them out and get them taken home this week. It's sad, this is our problem, we created it. It's nothing but our problem, so we can't be mad at anybody but ourselves. And if you're beekeep long enough, you're going to have issues like this, especially when you can't get to them in time to keep them checked. And what we should have done is they've got this thing down in there. What we should have done is we should have combined them with another colony. I don't know if you can see that, but just destroyed by wax moths. The wax is still good, or I'm sorry, the foundation is still good. We can clean it off and re-wax it and reuse it. But they'll also chew into your equipment, your frames like so, and when they do, a lot of times I just throw the frames away if they're too bad. Sometimes I'll reuse them, but it's just a real mess cleaning it up. We can take the pressure washer to the foundation, but wax moths are just a pest that you have to contend with. Beekeeping, it's just one of the many challenges you face, but it can be avoided. Wax moths don't kill colonies, they just take advantage of weak colonies. So stay on top of your bees and you'll be all right. But if you let them go and unattend them, so you don't stay on top of it, wax moths, small hive beetles will just take over. So it's a good lesson to learn. Keep on top of your colonies and don't make splits that are too small to protect themselves. Hey, we're out in another one of our yards continuing to spot check our colonies. We were through here a few days ago dropping supplement and dropping some sugar syrup in these bees. But they can cast a fall swarm and they can go queenless, or we could kill the queen. So we just like to stay on top of it and see make sure they're still consuming our patties, because if they're not, we want to take those out. Some colonies consume them, some don't. It's never 100% across the board. Every colony is different. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these, look at them, look at general health, see how many frames of bees we have, get a good idea of what we're going to have going through the winter. Also, we want to check each colony and make sure they're bringing in pollen. Just because one yard's bringing in pollen doesn't mean all yards are going to bring in pollen, so you never know. So you want to keep a check on that, and if not, if this yard's not bringing in pollen like our other yards, we're going to get heavy-handed with that supplement to get our bees ready for the winter. I'm not using any smoke on these colonies because I want to get a good idea of what the bees are looking like. I don't want to run the bees off the frames. Yeah, these bees are looking good. They are consuming our supplement. Not as much as some. And they have consumed about a gallon of syrup in a couple days. This colony is looking really good. I have no issues with it. We know what the queens are doing inside of it, so we'll close this one down up and it'll be ready to go into the winter. And we won't check every colony. We'll spot check through the yard and see what we got going on. When you're looking at them, you want to look at the activity at the front of the colony, see what's going on at the front. Be mindful. There may not be a good indication the colony helps bringing in pollen if there's a pollen flow on, and if there's not any flight at the front entrance, it's a colony you may want to open up and check. This colony's looking really good. They're eating their pollen supplement. They're empty on their syrup, so this colony's busting at the seams. It's totally ready for winter. May need to be a little heavier, but that's something we'll address, in the coming weeks. We did our mite checks. We treated our mites. We used Apiguard. Some of our colonies got Apivar if the colony wasn't strong enough to take Apiguard, so that's what we're going to do. Some colonies can't handle the Apiguard, especially if they're small or weak. It's recommended to combine them if you're going to use that for those colonies. Combine them into one. Continuing with our spot checks. This colony has been a good colony. Yeah, they are eating that patty. I'm not sure if you can see it really well, but they are consuming it rapidly. It was put in here 2 days ago. So people that say bees won't eat pollen supplement when there's a pollen flow on, but that's not been my experience. I can't speak for every location, but in our location, they'll still consume on it. Now, not as heavily as when there's no pollen coming in, but they will still eat that supplement. And that's what a box of bees, in my opinion, should look like, especially a single going into winter. And it's not hard to get them there. You just have to put forth the effort, and the bees will do what they're supposed to do, but sometimes they need a little help. Yellow jackets do get heavy, or pretty bad this time of year, but strong colonies defend yellow jackets off of these. I've never had any losses due to a yellow jacket. This is another strong colony. Still not using any smoke because I want to see what they look like. They're consuming that pollen patty really well. Empty on the syrup. This colony is looking really good for winter. Keep in mind, you want to check your entrance of your colonies also, because that's a good indicator if they're bringing any pollen. And if they're not flying at the front of your colony, that's a good sign for you to go inside and check it out, see what they're doing, see why they're not flying. It could be because they're weak. This colony here was a 3-year-old queen that we put in here. We took her out of our production colonies because her days are numbered. Unfortunately, she's been a great queen, but I didn't want to risk her going into the winter. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this colony here, and we're going to let her continue to lay, and then we'll put her in one of our nukes. We'll requeen one of our nukes with her because we want her drones for queen rearing next year. But we'll harvest this colony here, and we'll use the bees, and we'll combine it with something else later on in the season that's not doing so good before the winter. good genetics are hard to come by. So we like to, especially a queen that's lived 3 years, we want to keep that drone population as much as we can, just to have. This colony here is a colony that we requeened. Well, sorry, we didn't requeen it. This is a 3-year-old queen in this colony. We took her out of one of our production hives and put her in a nuke, and she built that nuke out to where it warranted putting in a 10-frame box. She's been a really good queen. So we're going to take that queen and we're going to keep her because we want the drone stock for next year for queen rearing. The bees are doing great. They're healthy. They've always been healthy. Made a lot of honey. Now, this is an Italian queen. We do have to feed them a little more because this queen and the colonies actually eat us out of house and home, but they've been healthy bees and good bees, fairly gentle bees. So we're going to keep her around. We'll take this colony here and we'll take the bee power and we'll use it throughout the apiary, and we'll put that queen in a nuke and overwinter her in a nuke, just so we have those genetics come spring for queen rearing. On this colony, what I'm doing is I'm checking the front of the box. I want to see the entrance. I want to see what these bees are bringing in as far as natural pollen coming in. I want to see a lot of natural pollen coming in, but keep in mind that you can't just go by one box. You're going to want to check several boxes or colonies throughout the apiary to see what they're bringing in. Now, this colony here is definitely not bringing in what our other yard was, but they are bringing in some natural pollen. I was trying to get some on the video for you to see. But there went one with some pollen on its baskets. But you want to make sure they're bringing in natural pollen. If not, we're going to get real heavy-handed on our supplement. Also, entrance of a hive can tell you a lot. The general vigor of the colony, how they're communicating with each other at the entrance, and also the amount of flight activity. And if they are bringing in pollen, is a good indicator of whether or not you're queen right or not. So don't overlook the front of your entrances. Just give them a peek every time you're at your yards and see what they're doing. Hey, we're back in the honey house now after a hard day's work in the bee yard. We got everything accomplished we wanted to today. Had a large honey order to fill yesterday and we got it taken care of. So we've been working hard, but we wanted to bring you along on this video, kind of show you how we do some yard maintenance and spot checks on our colonies and get things tidied up in the bee yards before the winter comes. If you like this video and found it informative, we'd really appreciate you hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. It'd really help us out, and it doesn't cost anything. We're going to continue to make these videos, maybe one every other day or once a week or something along those lines, to get good information out to the beekeepers. YouTube's a great community, a lot of great beekeepers out there, you know. And this is just based on our experience. It's by no means what you have to do in beekeeping. It's just what's working for us. So we really appreciate you watching, and happy beekeeping.